The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. It's been a while. Sorry it's been such a long time, but I'll explain that a little bit later on here in just a couple of moments as my phone goes crazy. Yeah, there's a flash flood warning in my area. And what I'm trying to get done is I'm trying to get it to shut up for just a couple of seconds. Screaming at the top of their lungs. Your telephone going crazy this morning here in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. Again, more about that coming up in just a couple of moments. What do we do on this broadcast? We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We make commentary. That is not news. Commentary is opinion. We do it over here. Commentary is just opinion. Yours and mine. Let's compare. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. It's very, very stormy here in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. I mean, the sky is exploding, and it is serious. It is serious stormage, and that's what we've got going here. We've got a tornado watch in effect, and we have we also have a circumstance whereby we have possible tornadoes around the area, and that has been something that has really plagued North Texas for the last several days. In fact, there was golf ball and baseball size hail just north of us. We missed it by a skosh. It was really weird. There was hail, big hail, south and north of us, but here in the Keller area of North Texas, not so much. Lots of news today, specifically coming from New York, the hush money trial of Donald Trump. Let's talk a little bit about that. These are live updates from CNN. The defense is delivering their closing arguments. Donald Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, delivering closing arguments as the defense tries to appeal a 12-person jury. He's speaking from a podium, which is turned to face that jury. Trump's team is expected to revisit many of the arguments they made during the trial, that allegedly falsified documents were not falsified because Michael Cohen was working as a lawyer to President Trump in 2017. This according to a source. They will revisit documents to support this argument and how the $420,000 Cohen made in 2017 was similar to what he made on 2016 from working for Donald Trump. That, by the way, from 21 minutes ago. This from 19 minutes ago. Trump attorney Todd Blanche begins his closing arguments by thanking the jury for their service. Every single one of you have been on time. We see you paying attention to the evidence all day, every day. We really appreciate that, said Blanche. He went on to say that I started out by saying something that I'm going to repeat to you right now. It's true right now as it was on April 22nd, and that is Donald Trump is innocent. He did not commit any crimes. The district attorney has not met the burden of proof, period. The evidence is all in, said Todd Blanche. That from 17 minutes ago. Trump attorney Todd Blanche slammed the testimony of the prosecution's key witness, Michael Cohen. He said the evidence should leave you wanting more. You should want and expect more than the testimony of Michael Cohen. You should demand more than the testimony of Keith Davidson, an attorney who was really just trying to extort money from President Trump in the lead up to the 2016 election, said Blanche. Let's see what else is going on. He went on to say that the case is about documents, not Stormy Daniels. The case is about documents. It's a paper chase. This case is not about an encounter with Stormy Daniels 18 years ago, an encounter that President Trump has unequivocally and repeatedly denied actually occurred. He went on to say, as we go through this from 13 minutes ago, Trump attorney Todd Blanche said the jury is here to determine if Trump had anything to do with how payments to Michael Cohen were booked on his personal ledger for his personal account at Trump Tower. At the time, Trump was living in the White House and Cohen was serving as his personal attorney, said Blanche. The invoices were all submitted by Michael Cohen. You're going to hear me talk a lot about Michael Cohen today. That should not surprise you. You cannot convict Michael Trump, President Trump of any crime beyond a reasonable doubt on the words of Michael Cohen. That is true, by the way. That was brought up several times by several people that are learned legal experts. They said that if you have someone who has committed perjury in this particular trial, that is automatic reasonable doubt. And that appears to have happened. It was so obvious, even leftist news sources commented on the fact that Michael Cohen's testimony was essentially moot at that point when he lied to the jury. Let's see, he argued that the key individuals who were mentioned during Michael Cohen's testimony that did not testify, there were key conversations, key interactions that he claimed he had with Dylan Howard, Keith Schiller, Alan Weisselberg. Those are important. Keith Schiller, Dylan Howard, Alan Weisselberg were not witnesses in the trial, he added. Weisselberg, the former Trump Organization CFO, was sentenced in April to 5 months in jail on perjury charges. 12 minutes ago, Trump's attorney on Cohen's testimony, they were lies, pure and simple. This was something that I was just discussing. They were lies, pure and simple, says Todd Blanche. He tells the jury that in order to convict Trump, they would have to determine those were false entries in the paperwork that Trump had intended to defraud. Those records were not false. There was no intent to defraud. Todd Blanche showed the courtroom a graphic that shows an invoice, a voucher, a check, and a check stub. The slide shows the invoice was created by Michael Cohen, was sent to the Trump Organization, where accounting personnel, included Deb Tarasoff, handled the processing. Blanche said the checks were auto-generated. Cohen essentially wrote for services rendered, but here's the thing. This is Trump's attorney continuing to talk to the jury. Cohen was rendering services to Trump as his personal attorney. Blanche acknowledges former President Trump and accountant Deborah Tarasoff testified that she often stapled invoices to the associated checks to be signed by Trump. General practice is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt, said Blanche. Blanche said Tarasoff never spoke to President Trump about anything to do with the checks or the invoices. Okay, continuing on this, as there are 4 new updates. Let's see what we can do about getting those. 3, 4. Okay, here we go. Cohen was on call for Trump because that's how retainer agreements work. Trump attorney Blanche is pointing to Michael Cohen's email to Alan Weisselberg from May 2017, where he attached an invoice and asked Weisselberg to call me to discuss the last Open Foundation matter, suggesting Cohen was working for Trump in 2017 when he was paid. Blanche is also arguing that Michael Cohen did the legal work in 2017 because there was a retainer agreement, pointing to the other retainer agreement Cohen had as a consultant in 2017. Blanche specifically notes that Cohen was paid $100,000 for 6 meetings with Novartis. That's how a retainer agreement works, says Blanche, nothing noting that he was on call for the company just like he was on call with President Trump. Blanche also told the jury that Michael Cohen did indeed lie to you. He suggested there were conspiratorial agreements to reimburse Michael Cohen. He was working for free, and that's what they said to you, said Blanche. Cohen lied to you, Blanche said, punctuating each word. Cohen lied to you. Trump's lawyer said told the jury that Cohen lied when he said on direct examination that he did minimal work for Trump in 2017, but then acknowledged multiple assignments when he worked in 2017 during cross-examination, like the Summer Zervos lawsuit that Cohen served as co-lead counsel. That was damning when it comes to the credibility of Cohen's testimony. Trump's attorney Todd Blanche also alleged that Michael Cohen was lying when he said there was never a retainer agreement with Donald Trump in 2017. Blanche pointed to the email former Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisselberg sent to Cohen when he was leaving Trump Organization, which stated, "Please prepare the agreement we discussed so we can pay you monthly. You did not see a retainer agreement. There's no evidence there was ever one put together," said Blanche. The fact that there was a verbal retainer agreement from Mr. Cohen and President Trump is consistent with the practices from another lawyer you heard from, Keith Davidson. Judge Juan Merchan sustained one objection from prosecutor Joshua Steinglass. This is something that has been a pattern of the trial, where prosecution objections were immediately sustained by this judge. Blanche suggested it didn't matter. There was no written retainer agreement. He, meaning Trump, meaning Cohen, was President Trump's personal lawyer, period, Blanche said. Blanche asked if the retainer agreement makes sense or Cohen. I don't know what that means, what they're talking about there. And then they have this as we finish up with the live updates. This from 4 minutes ago. There is a reason why in life usually the simplest answer is the right one. That is the case here, said Todd Blanche. The story Mr. Cohen told you on the witness stand is not true, he said of Michael Cohen's testimony. Wait a minute, one more just popped in. Let's see what we have here. There is no evidence that Donald Trump knew anything about this voucher system. No evidence, not a single word, said Trump attorney Todd Blanche. If the government reads you quotes from a book, you should be suspicious. That's a red flag. If the reason the government is going to ask you to conclude that President Trump knew anything about the voucher system is because something he wrote in a book where he was assisted by ghostwriters decades earlier, there's a problem in the proof. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt does not include a passage in a book found from the prosecution. And so that's what's going on. The question is all of this, and it comes right down to it. What will the jury think of all of this? What will the jury say? What will the jury believe? It depends. It doesn't necessarily have to come down to, say, for example, even damning evidence of one side of the court case or another. It doesn't have to make any difference. Because what the jury says is what the jury says. Say, for example, the defense absolutely obliterates the case of the prosecution. Some people have said that. Well, that's not the case if the jury doesn't think so. It's also a circumstance whereby, as we found in the OJ trial, if the prosecution obliterated the defense, then the jury can say, nope, we're going to find this defendant innocent regardless. Will this New York jury find President Trump guilty regardless of any of these arguments? What is also kind of strange in this is I'm trying to figure out just exactly why it is that the defense is going first in final arguments. That is usually not the case. In criminal trials especially, why is the defense going first? The prosecution normally goes first. The defense goes second. That has been reversed. Speaking of reversals, that is probably another issue that's going to be brought before an appeals court, as this trial is rife with all manner of unfairness and all manner of what appears to just about everybody as a biased judge making biased decisions virtually every single day. Now, a lot of that can be just grousing by people who support President Trump. We don't know. Now, why don't we know? Well, because the mainstream media, regardless of which side you believe them to be on, is biased. We have no idea what's happening. When I present this story to you, I say, okay, here are the facts as we know them. There were lies that were issued by Michael Cohen. Normally, what ends up happening is those lies lead to reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt leads to acquittal. And that is normal, except, of course, that 95% of the jury pool that could have heard this case voted for President Biden. And all of this comes down to an absolute mess of jurisprudence. There's also something else. There's also something else that's incredibly important here. We, the people of the United States, as I just mentioned, the media being biased on both sides, we have not gotten true reporting from the courtroom. We've gotten filtered reporting from the courtroom. We've gotten subjective reporting from the courtroom. We've gotten opinion disguised as news from the courtroom. There was only one way to ever stop that from happening, and that was to televise the court case. I don't know whether there are going to be any other trials of this president in any other courtrooms anywhere in America, but the American people should rise up and demand that we be treated as a jury of the whole, that we be able to see all of these trials for ourselves to make our own determinations. That's the only way I see it. If you disagree, please let me know. 817-379-2172.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. While we are here taking a look at this, taking a look at the information coming out of New York on this hush money trial, there are other things that are happening. Specifically, a wave of severe storms causing at least 22 deaths in 4 states over the holiday weekend. Reaching the mid-Atlantic and Northeast yesterday evening, they're expected to taper off, give way to sunny skies and highs in the low 80s. By midday today, there are 650,000 people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area without power. This being reported by CNN. Powerful storms are delivering yet another round of violent weather to Texas on today after an almost unrelenting parade of destructive and sometimes deadly storms in recent weeks. Additional storms will pound more of the southern plains throughout the day. Storms were roaring through Dallas-Fort Worth metro early this morning, delivering hurricane-force wind gusts and stirring fears of tornadoes. Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport recorded a wind gust of 77 miles per hour. That's 2 miles an hour over the hurricane barrier for a Category 1 hurricane. It's a hurricane if a storm has sustained winds of 75 miles an hour or greater. Power outages continue to be a problem. More than 750,000 customers in Texas are without power. That number is continuing to climb. This according to Power Outage US. More than half of the outages were in Dallas County. These storms arrived even as some residents are still mourning at least 7 people killed in Texas during violent storms over the Memorial Day weekend. In total, almost 24 people, including 4 children, were killed across 5 states as storms hit the central U.S. over the holiday. Several communities are grappling with significant losses of homes and businesses. More than 13 million people in Texas and extreme western Louisiana are facing Tuesday's most serious threat of severe weather. That's today. Damaging storms will push south and east through the morning and into the early afternoon hours, could eventually roll through Houston. Large hail, lightning, wind gusts as strong as 80 miles an hour are the main threats with any storm. A few tornadoes may also occur, this according to the National Weather Service. Some of the same areas were rocked by storms today could deal with more storms tonight as another round fires up in the late afternoon in West Texas, Oklahoma, and tracks to the east. Back-to-back deluges can make it difficult for some communities still trying to pick up the pieces after an exceptional number of tornadoes and destructive storms tore through the central U.S. in recent weeks. Sunday was the busiest severe weather day of the year so far. More than 600 reports of strong straight-line winds or hail across more than 20 states, including gusts over 75 miles an hour and hail the size of softballs. 26 tornado reports also made in 10 states. Storms turned homes and businesses into piles of rubble, flung cars, and brought down power lines. Also, Texans are facing sweltering heat. Yesterday, it was amazingly hot. Sweltering heat will accompany the storms across a portion of Texas, a part of a sprawling heat wave that has been baking the South in recent days. Heat indexes rocket into the triple digits in Texas, Louisiana, and Florida. Those heat indices, which measure how the body actually feels under humidity and air temperature, are expected to start falling back into the 90s by tomorrow across most of the South. Some Texans will have to face brutal heat for a bit longer. Heat advisories in place for today across the Brewster County area of Texas and in the Davis Mountain and their foothills. Temperatures could reach as high as 110 degrees in the area, according to the National Weather Service. Goodness gracious, I hope you're not getting pounded by storms. And if you are, I hope that the damage is minimal and that you're doing just fine. God bless you in your endeavors as you get through these storms. As I said, we were very, very lucky in the Keller area because the storm seemed to have separated and moved to the south and north of us. It has not been the case always. I have the dents in my car to prove it. It's one of those things that you have here in Texas. When you live here long enough, your car is going to get pummeled by big hail. It's just the way things go in the Lone Star State. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells, thank you very much for being with us. We'll be back with more of this broadcast coming up in just a moment.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. I am John David Wells. Ginny Bayless says hi. Yvonne Field says hi. I've been off for a while. I started a brand new job, and that required virtually every moment of my time. I am very happy to be working beyond the Wells Report. Not that I plan on stopping this broadcast. I don't. But the simple case of the matter is I got to make a little bit more money than I'm making from this broadcast. And so there you go. Time for me to hold up my end of the log in this household. And thankfully, Allied Universal has hired me as a supervisor, and I am very happy to have that position. So that being said, welcome to the broadcast. There are a lot of things that are going on, specifically the President of the United States joining the chorus of odd things happening in the New York hush money trial of former President Donald Trump. The things that we have seen are very strange from a standpoint of just exactly what the judge and the prosecution are pulling off in this courtroom. Not the least of which, of course, is the fact that that during closing arguments, what is odd about it is that for some reason, The defense is going first. Normally, in a criminal proceeding, the defense gets the last word to the jury, not being done today. But that's not the only thing. There's another issue that's going on, and that is the fact that the President of the United States is planning to address the actual verdict from the trial. I don't know what he's going to address. I'm assuming that he believes that it's going to be a guilty verdict. What if it's not? What if they already know what their verdict is going to be? What does that mean? And Rich Edson from Fox News has some things to say about it. This was earlier this morning on Fox and Friends. Hold on. Just a moment. Let me get that rolling. Here we go.
Politico is reporting, quote, Biden intends to initially address the verdict in a White House setting, not a campaign one, to show his statement isn't political, according to the people who were granted anonymity to discuss internal deliberations. The report says the president has made no decisions on timing or setting where he would refer to any type of verdict. The Biden social media team is considering using, quote, convicted felon Donald Trump, unquote, to refer to the presumptive Republican nominee if a jury convicts the former president. Now, Biden is also enlisting the help of his Democratic predecessors to raise some money. Former President Bill Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton will join a fundraising dinner for President Biden in Virginia June 18th. Former Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe is hosting that. Then a few days earlier, actor George Clooney hosts former President Barack Obama, Biden, and Clinton. This Memorial Day weekend, President Biden did visit his daughter-in-law Haley's home just ahead of the 9th anniversary of his son's death. Her husband and Biden's son, Beau, was an Army veteran. Haley is also expected to testify as a witness in Hunter Biden's gun crime trial next month. The president spent Memorial Day out at Arlington National Cemetery for a wreath-laying ceremony and a speech at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
All right, so that's Rich Edson reporting what is going on earlier this morning regarding President Biden and his willingness, indeed his idea, that what he's going to do is he's going to address the nation. Now, that political report that Rich Edson was talking about on Fox News goes like this. Joe Biden plans to break his vow of silence, publicly address the criminal trials Donald Trump is facing when a verdict is reached, according to 4 people familiar with internal deliberations among the White House staff. These people speaking to Politico. Biden intends to initially address the verdict in a White House setting, not a campaign one, to show his statement is not political. This, according to those same people who were granted anonymity to discuss internal deliberations. Do you believe that this isn't political? Do you believe the president trying to essentially separate the campaign from the White House is going to make this any less political? President Biden has been absolutely unsparing in his criticism of President Donald Trump regarding this particular set of trials. He's done so in advertisements. He's done so on the campaign trail. And now what he's trying to do, according to Politico, is to provide some sort of veneer, trying to separate politics from what he's about to talk about just by doing it from the White House. Am I being harsh? I don't think so. I think I'm being objective. I think that's a crazy and unfortunate statement. I don't have any idea why the White House would bother coming up with it. Yeah, we're going to separate this because we don't want this to look political. Too late. Absolutely too late. The story from Politico continues. If the jury convicts Trump, Biden's team will argue the result shows that Trump is ill-suited for office, that it demonstrates the extremes to which the former president would go to win again. The campaign's social media team is considering leveraging the line of attack further, with discussions underway about referring to the ex-president online as convicted felon Donald Trump. His team is also preparing for a barrage of Republican and Trump attack ads if the former president is acquitted or if there's a hung jury. Closing arguments are set for today. The jury could reach its decision as early as next week. Biden will speak at some point after that. A definitive decision on timing and setting not yet been made. No matter what the outcome, whether it be a conviction, acquittal, or hung jury, the message will be different for specific rulings, but the fundamental point will remain the same. The American legal system worked, and the process should be respected, even though they're going to say that there are all kinds of ways to attack the actual decision. But the justice system works, except we're going to argue about it for the rest of the campaign. This kind of hypocrisy is what we've seen decorating all of politics in the United States. The people of the United States, at least by my read, are absolutely, completely done with it. The hypocrisy of all of this is, without doubt, absolutely inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable. And I don't have any idea why it is that people that are actually involved in the political process believe that the people of the United States would not see the hypocrisy plainly playing out before them. Why would they not see that? Why would they believe they're not seeing it? It's absolutely nuts. And I believe that what's happening here is not just damaging the credibility of the Biden administration or the American political left or what's left of the Democrat Party. I believe what it's doing is damaging the nation, damaging the way the people of the United States believe in our jurist system, our judicial system. That's going away. And the reason it's going away is because it's being politically abused. I say on this broadcast all the time that politics poisons everything. There's something that it cannot be poisoned for the sake of the republic. And that is the actual justice system that we all rely on to be fair. Is this fair? A173792172. Is this constitutional? 817-379-2172. Do you believe the President of the United States has any business addressing the nation regarding a trial that most Americans believe, and this is according to polling that is consistent throughout months, that most Americans believe is political in nature? Is the President Biden, going to damage himself further by what looks like spiking the football, whether President Trump is found guilty or not found guilty? Is he going to hurt himself more? What fascinates me about this whole thing is these people that are pushing President Biden for re-election are completely oblivious, or appear to be completely oblivious, to the fact that every statement they make, every move they make, infuriates somewhere in the vicinity of 74 million Americans. 74 million Americans. Is that the way to move the country forward? Or is that a way to exacerbate huge division in this nation that can only have a harmful outcome? To me, it's obvious. The political left of this nation, those people in support of President Biden, have been slapping around 74 million people. They've been doing it for years. They are not convincing them of anything, except, of course, that with every statement, those slaps become more and more infuriating. I mean, I know for a fact, I'm having been a media figure for a half a century. I know for a fact that the people that are trying to tell these stories over and over and over again with a straight face feel this sick feeling inside because they know what they're doing is participating in a propaganda effort as opposed to a news reporting one. And no matter how sociopathic they may be based on their politics, there is something going on when you see people from CNN and MSNBC and so on arguing against their own news division's obvious editorial policy. Then that's happening. That's happening. They're looking at each other with horror, with looks of horror. And there's a reason. The propagandist garbage that they've been asked to spew or have decided to spew is harming them, and it's going to be beyond redemption. Just like the ridiculous political garbage being played, the hypocrisy being played by the FBI, by the DOJ, by the CIA, by the NSA, by all of the deep state players, the DHS, the Office of National Intelligence, all of these places have damaged themselves possibly beyond recovery. Let me ask you this question. Would you believe anything that the FBI told you today? Do you believe anything that Attorney General Merrick Garland, who sits atop the Department of Justice, do you believe anything that he has to say? Anything? Yes or no? Oh, by the way, if you want to tell me what you do believe coming out of Merrick Garland's mouth, I want to hear it. 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. I want to know what you believe is real coming out of Merrick Garland's mouth. Or the DOJ in general. Or the FBI in specific. We already know that the Department of Homeland Security operates at cross purposes with its own name. If you think the southern border is a shining example of Homeland Security as practiced by the Department of Homeland Security, you may need to have a careful exam of some nature having to do with what you see and hear and listen to with regards to what these people are doing. Don't trust your own lying eyes. Pay attention to what we're telling you. Excuse me? Now, granted, I have an I have an advantage. I live here in Texas. I see what those people do on the southern border every day. And oh, by the way, I've served on that border twice. I've seen it for myself twice, wearing the uniform of this state proudly with the Texas State Guard. Now, remember, nothing I say about the Texas State Guard has anything to do with their particular official policies, or the Texas Military Department, the TMD, or the Texas Adjutant General. These are just things that I say. I'm solely responsible for what I say, but I've been down there. I have been down there and I've seen it for myself. And what you see is at best a sanitized version. You miss unbelievable examples of the depravity. And the reason you miss it is because you can't show those pictures on television. You can't. You just can't. You can hear about them occasionally. But as I say that statement, as I say it right now on this broadcast, I'm trying to determine whether or not I should bring up the term rape tree, which is a tree used by cartel guys, by these smugglers of human beings across the border. Those are the panties of women that they have thrown down on the ground and had their way with, decorating a tree. And there are more than one of them. There are thousands of them. They are horrifying. And that's not even the most horrifying thing that happens down there. And it's all being allowed by the people that I've named in this particular monologue. Not just allowed, but encouraged. And I am saying to myself at this particular moment, with regards to all of this hypocrisy, it has one source. The hypocrisy of the President of the United States spiking the football having to do with what most people believe is a political and therefore corrupt trial happening in New York City. We have this hypocritical idea of what the Department of Justice and what equal protection under the law looks like. We don't have to go back very far to see the fact that no president has ever undergone any of this. Indeed, presidents have been accused of far worse and let go. Secretaries of state, former United States senators, former vice presidents, just let go. But not Trump. Not Trump. Are we really going down this road? Yes, we are going down this road. Will it have the outcome that these people, these leftist distorters, believe? Let's hope not.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
not much closer, and again, airfare.
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. There was or is a floating pier off the coast of Gaza. It was in place there by United States military officials and indeed was in operation until there were shots fired and so on and so on. There were rough seas. And apparently the aid that was supposedly to use that pier has been stuck once again, as there are all manner of other things going on with regards to Gaza. And we have a report that comes to us from Fox News that involves Trey Yingst, who is the best war correspondent I have ever seen. Let's go ahead and go to that report as we continue on the Wells Report.
First of all, live in Tel Aviv. And how big a problem is this, Trey?
Yeah, hey, John, good afternoon. Nearly 230 days into the war, aid distribution issues are making it nearly impossible to get supplies across the Gaza Strip. Remember that $320 million floating American pier is supposed to be providing much needed support to the Palestinian people. It was built by the Americans, is now operating in the northern part of Gaza. And since the project became active last week, more than 569 tons of aid have been delivered to the shores of the Strip. However, the Pentagon says that aid is sitting at a staging area due to distribution issues. Right now, new pathways for distribution are being explored by the U.S. and the UN.
There have been discussions between the U.S., Israel, United Nations, as well as joint efforts to identify alternative routes for the safe movement of staff and cargo.
The UN's World Food Program pushes back against that characterization, saying that some of the aid was actually distributed, but acknowledges much of it was intercepted by hungry civilians, including 11 trucks that were stopped on their way to a warehouse this week.
We came here with the hope that at the pier we will get the American aid. We have waited from 1 o'clock until now. We are waiting for the American aid, but we didn't get anything.
It's not just northern Gaza suffering from logistics issues. In the south, that city of Rafah, there is no aid distribution from the UN after they halted distribution following security concerns.
Yeah, there were security concerns. In fact, there were rocket attacks that came from Rafah, and we're going to be reporting on that coming up in just a couple of moments. Meanwhile, the floating pier had major problems in choppy seas. The Biden administration, the center point of their particular efforts, very much embarrassed by this, being reported by the Wall Street Journal. Part of the life support system, or the support system for a floating pier built by the U.S. to boost humanitarian aid to Palestinians, broke off. That happened over the weekend in choppy waters off the Gaza coast. 4 boats stabilizing the $320 million structure detached, according to CENTCOM, which is responsible for the military operations in the Middle East. Now, look, this is something that happens. It is not. I'm not speaking of spiking the football. I'm not spiking the football with regard to the Biden administration having trouble with this pier. What I'm saying is that this particular circumstance has no basis in actual functional reality, insofar as there are all manner of real problems, all caused by Hamas, creating what we see unfold in front of us. Let me give you an example. There are news reports about civilians, supposed civilians, in some tent encampment being killed because of an Israeli airstrike. Well, the problem with that is that earlier this weekend, there were rockets fired from those very areas in Rafah by Hamas into Israel toward Tel Aviv. What is Israel supposed to do? Every time some political person stands up anywhere in the world and starts talking about how Israeli forces need to be more careful with civilians, Hamas realizes that they are winning the propaganda war, courtesy of these useful idiots from around the country. Norway, Spain, Ireland, for crying out loud, all planning on recognizing the Palestinian state. Except there is no Palestinian state. And the reason there is no Palestinian state is because Hamas is using that to do one thing. Their main mission in life is to kill Jews. All these Palestinians, these supposed innocent Palestinians, these innocent civilians, these people support Hamas. Hamas doesn't care whether they're fed. They don't care whether they're watered. They don't care how many of their family members are slaughtered by virtue, or in their case, martyred. They don't care. They don't have any compunction whatsoever, because their primary mission is to kill Jews. Hamas, being egged on by the world population, which is decidedly based on anti-Jewish bigotry, will go into a place that was a safe haven and fire rockets on Israel there. And what is Israel supposed to do? We'll talk more about that coming up in just a couple of moments, as we've got full reporting from that on the Wells Report. Our telephone number is 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. Show's been off for a while. As a matter of fact, last week was kind of like there was not much I could do about it, because I started a brand new job, which is great, by the way. I truly enjoy it, and I will have some various programming announcements to be made. We're going to have to change the time of the broadcast. We'll be doing it every day, but we're just going to have to do it at a different time of day. And we'll have more of that information coming for you. Look on your social media. And, of course, this broadcast will make it all abundantly clear coming up in the next little bit here on the Wells Report. Back with hour number 2 coming up in just a couple of moments. Thanks for joining us. We are the Wells Report.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Hey, thanks for joining us this morning for the Wells Report, and make sure you share us with all your friends on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Patreon, and don't forget to check out our Substack column, which will be coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. When you do all this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us those thumbs up. They are really important. Check the notification box so you know when we're on the air, and whatever you do, join us every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, for the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. No, commentary is opinion. Opinion is just what you think, just what I think. Let's compare. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. It is Monday. Make that Tuesday, the 28th day of May, year of our Lord 2024. We spent the weekend in contemplation of those people who gave their lives for our nation, Memorial Day weekend. And it was poignant in that I have indeed lost friends that have fought for this nation and this state. And it is always a somber weekend around the Wells house, and I certainly hope that you spent time thinking of those people that gave us our nation and spent everything they had to do it. There are wars elsewhere, specifically between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. It has been going on now for many, many months, and it is at its conclusion. But that conclusion is creating problems for the state of Israel, as many people in the world, especially governments, are talking about how Israel needs to spend more time being careful with the supposed innocent civilians surrounding Hamas terrorists, indeed, in Gaza as we speak. There is a story that pretty much, for me, says everything you need to know about this conflict, especially the hypocrisy from the anti-Jewish, bigoted governments around the world, the international mess that is anti-Jewish racism. It can't be anything else. Any support of Hamas is a support of terrorism. I'm not going to have a whole lot of sympathy for people in Spain, people in Norway, people in Ireland, when all these people start showing up and pulling off terror attacks in those countries, insofar as, hey, we're going to recognize Palestine as a Palestinian state. It is not a Palestinian state. And regardless of what you believe innocent Palestinians may or may not be, they don't deserve a Palestinian state. And the reason they don't deserve it is because they don't know how to deal with a state. They don't know how to deal with a state, let alone one that they disagree with. They are more adept at starting fires than they are putting them out. And when you run a country, you've got to have a fire department. And that is not what they do. That's not what they do. We already have one amazingly huge terror state in the world. That's Iran. Do we need a smaller one? Iran talks about the great Satan, the United States, and the lesser Satan, that being Israel. Do we need the great terror state of Iran and the lesser terror state of Gaza and the Palestinians? I don't believe so. I believe that terrorism must be stopped. I believe that Hamas is a terrorist organization. And this story that I'm referring to proves it. We saw this entire war touched off by a remorseless, relentless, just plain evil attack on civilians, true civilians in Israel, slaughtered as they slept, burned as they tried to figure out, these infants burned in their cribs by people absolutely having no problem whatsoever bragging about it to their parents, taking videos of it, etc. All the evidence necessary provided by those same Hamas terrorists. And so Israel attacked. They started killing Hamas by the bushel basketful. And they started chasing all the way through the country. It's not actually a country, through the territory of Gaza, doing exactly that work. And then people saying, my goodness gracious, mainly people from Hamas saying, my goodness gracious, they're killing civilians. There are no civilians there. They're all supporters of Hamas. Hamas is an ideology. If you support an ideology, you are of that ideology. Therefore, you are of Hamas. Therefore, there are no innocent Palestinians. They've had a chance to get rid of Hamas. Granted, some people actually have. Some Palestinians have actually stood up against Hamas and got shot in the face for it. I understand all that. But what I do not understand is how what happened on Sunday can be completely ignored by the world's media and by these governments of these states that are continually egging on Hamas to kill more Jews. And that's the way I see it. Hamas terrorists, this from Fox News, Hamas terrorists launched a barrage of rockets into Israel Sunday, with roughly a dozen of them being fired from the contested city of Rafah. This is the territory where Israel has been told to stay out of by the United States and other countries around the world. Stay out of there. You got to take care of the innocents, really. But right there in that particular city come rockets headed toward Tel Aviv, huh? The Iron Dome system successfully intercepted the majority of the rockets, alarms sounding in Tel Aviv and other major cities. The strike came as Israeli forces increased operations in and around Rafah, which Israel says is the final major stronghold for Hamas in Gaza. There are some 4 battalions of Hamas terrorists there. And that is the final move of this particular incursion, this particular conflict. Israel needs to go in there, find those guys, and slaughter them. Or they'll have to do this again. Hamas took responsibility for the barrage. They argued it was in retaliation for, quote, Zionist massacres against civilians, unquote. Really? Well, why don't you fire those rockets from someplace other than Rafah? Why don't you fire them, say, for example, I don't know, maybe farther west or farther east of Rafah or farther south or farther north? Why are you firing from Rafah? Well, because you're trying to induce Israel to attack the city. That's why. So you can sit there and say, my goodness, these innocents are being slaughtered by Israel because Israel's terrible. They don't care. Hamas doesn't care how many of their own people they kill just in order to prove their assertion that Israel is the great or the lesser Satan. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the absolute willfully ignorant people of the world, these politicians that are saying that Israel has to take better care of innocent civilians. They're completely ignoring the fact that Hamas is luring Israel into a response from the very city these people of the world are telling Israel to stay out of. Because they want Hamas to survive this war. Hamas shouldn't survive this war. They should be sundered and destroyed in place. And if that place is Rafah, done. That's the way it is. Israel has faced, according to this news article, Israel has faced growing international pressure to cease its operations in Rafah, which plays host to roughly 1.5 million displaced Gazans. Israel encouraged civilians in the region to leave areas where they conducted military operations against Hamas in an effort to minimize civilian casualties. Did they? Well, apparently not. Rafah lies on the border of Egypt, has served as a major artery for humanitarian aid. Israel took control of the Gazan side of the border this week. Israel responded by refusing to allow further aid through. Yeah, so once again, the hypocrisyometer pegs itself. In other words, the hypocrisy is rife throughout all of this. Israel is running this Gazan side of the border. Why? To stop Hamas terrorists from being able to escape into Egypt. That's why. And Egypt says, well, we're just not going to send any more aid then. Okay, well, where's the hue and cry that we've heard against Israel for not allowing aid into Gaza? Why isn't that not being applied immediately to Egypt? Because of that hypocrisy I keep talking about. The reason that Egypt isn't being stomped on because they're not allowing aid through to these poor, starving Gazans. The reason they're not is because they're not Jewish. That's the only reason. Egypt refuses to open its side of the Rafah crossing until control of the Gaza side is handed back to Palestinians. As we've discovered in this conversation, Palestinians are Hamas. Hamas is an ideology. Palestinians support the ideology. Therefore, they are Hamas. Why in heaven's name would you turn all of this aid over to Palestinians, quote, Palestinians, when they're actually Hamas? Because what you're doing is you're playing a hostage. You're holding Israel hostage against stopping their own attackers. That's why. You're keeping Israel from finishing this work against these horrifying terrorists. Yeah. By the way, Egypt did agree to temporarily divert traffic through Israel's Kerem Shalom crossing, that's Gaza's main cargo terminal, after a call between President Biden and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. Okay, that's fine. What are we doing about that aid coming across the pier that's immediately being looted by Palestinians? No, looted by Hamas. You never ever let a crisis go without somebody profiting from it, apparently. It's horrific. Hundreds of aid trucks traveled through Israel's Kerem Shalom crossing this weekend. United Nations workers say they've had difficulty accessing the aid due to heavy fighting nearby. Yeah, which all works to Hamas's advantage because Hamas is looking for reasons to have the international community continuing to condemn Israel. Fox News reports Israeli tanks reportedly seen in the center of Rafah for the first time today. This, according to witnesses, as Israel enters its third week of ground operations in the southern Gaza city. The tanks were spotted near the Al-Ada Mosque, that's A-W-D-A, the Al-Ada Mosque, a central Rafah landmark, according to the witnesses speaking to Reuters. The Israeli Defense Forces said its operation in the city continues in the Rafah area, but did not comment on whether their forces had advanced into the city center. Quote, overnight, IDF troops operated on the Philadelphia corridor while conducting precise operational activity based on intelligence indicating the presence of terror targets in the area, said the IDF. The Philadelphia corridor is an Israeli name for the 8.7-mile strip of land that comprises the border between Gaza and Egypt, including the border crossing in Rafah. Israel pounded the city with airstrikes and tank fire, according to Reuters, as it pressed the offensive, despite international condemnation over a strike on Sunday that killed 2 senior Hamas terror leaders and dozens of civilians. I've got a hint. Since you know who the leaders of Hamas are, because likely they've killed one of your neighbors because one of the neighbors stood up and called him a name or something. You know who these people are. I got an idea. Don't stand near those leaders. You don't have to go far. 250 meters will probably do it. Just 250 meters away from these guys that are trying to profit by your death. Yeah, just stay away from them. That way, when the bombs come falling from IDF sources, you will be innocent Palestinians, maybe for the first time in your lives. I'm just saying. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells, thanking you very much for being a part of our broadcast. We'll be back with more coming up in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Kim Helmgard is a columnist for USA Today. He talks a little bit about what's been going on with regards to various nations recognizing a supposed state of Palestine. And you ought to read this column. This is from USA Today. It has a flag. It has a national anthem, diplomats. It even has its own international dialing code. In fact, 3/4 of the world's 195 countries, 143 UN member states, plus the Vatican and Western Sahara, all say that Palestine is a state. There has been a much ballyhooed decision by Ireland, Norway, and Spain to recognize an independent Palestinian state, which officially took effect today. It comes nearly 8 months into Israel's war with Hamas in the Gaza Strip and decades into one of the world's most high-profile and intractable conflicts between Israelis and Palestinians. That, unfortunately, does not actually accurately portray the entire picture. Remember, this intractable conflict is not just between Israelis and Palestinians. This intractable conflict is between Israelis, Palestinians, and all of the anti-Jewish bigots around the world that keep empowering Palestine, essentially egging on a Palestinian population to martyr itself so that they can talk about how Israel is just a terrible country, when it is not a terrible country. It is a country that is required to exist by that same international community trying to figure out ways to slaughter them all. The Jews I'm discussing. They get to have their own state. Yeah, they get to have nuclear weapons. They get to have a functioning military. All of these things designed to deter anti-Jewish bigots from around the world from attacking them and trying to slaughter them. And that is exactly what is happening. And it is calculated. And it is reprehensible. Mr. Helmgard continues by saying that this intractable conflict is what we are seeing here. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said today that recognition of the state of Palestine is not only a matter of historic justice, it's also an essential requirement if we are all to achieve peace. But what does formal statehood mean to Palestinians? What will these recognitions, which the U.S. and larger European nations have not joined, bring full Palestinian statehood closer and improve the lives of Palestinians? Is that what it will do? Rowan Nicholson, a scholar of international law at Australia's Flinders University, said that to qualify as a state, 4 criteria are typically required: a permanent population, a defined territory, a government, and independence. He said the conditions for statehood are fairly rigid and a matter of debate. The criteria developed over centuries through the practice of states. There's no single definitive written version of them. They're fuzzy and open to interpretation. Nicholson, who has worked on cases before the International Court of Justice, while we're speaking of fuzzy interpretation, a Hague, Netherlands-based court that last week ordered Israel to halt its military operation in Rafah in Gaza as part of a war crimes allegation brought by South Africa, which is rich in irony right there. One attempt to write them down that people often refer to as the Montevideo Convention of 1933. There are exceptions. You can't create a new state by unlawfully invading an existing state and separating off a part of it, as the Russians tried to do a few years ago with Ukraine. So indeed, is this helping the Ukrainian people, or is it egging them on? Palestinians don't want a separate state. They want Israel. They want to slaughter everybody in their path in order to have that state. What will they do when they get it? This strikes to my point about whether these people actually want a state of their own, or whether they just want to ruin everything. They've ruined everything in Gaza and the West Bank. What are they going to do if they get Israel? What if they actually get the prize that they are looking for? They'll have the same destroyed mess that they currently, and squalor that they live in now. That's what I see. Am I wrong? Call me on the Wells Report.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. This is the 2024 election year. It has been a mess. It has been frightening. It has been cynically abused, along with the people of the United States. It is a mess. It is also the fourth the fourth presidential election that has been referred to as the most important presidential election in the history of the Republic. The rhetoric is supercharged and overheated. It is damaging our nation. When I talk about overheated, I talk about how the left of the United States has worked its divisive ideology so much so that now it's beginning to look like scorched earth. They don't care what's left of the United States as long as they make their political points. They don't care what the size of the ash pile that the Constitution and Bill of Rights makes after they incinerate it. They don't care about the damage that they've done to the Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, which is not an agency that can use much more destruction because it's been a mess ever since I've been alive, at least in one way, shape, or form. It's also punctuated by some of the most brilliant intelligence gathering and action on that intelligence of any kind of intelligence agency in the history of the human endeavor. So what do you do with the CIA? Well, you take the bad with the good, I guess. The NSA, who Michael Hayden is brilliant. He was a former director of the NSA. When he realized the NSA was going to be implicated in the deep state, he immediately just threw away all of the evidence. When you work with an agency that doesn't actually exist, you can do that kind of stuff. Most other people would say that's obstruction of justice. And then, of course, he's one of the signatories of a letter that says that, yeah, the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. Yeah, this is a mess. It is chaos. And what we have is essentially the American people recoiling in anger, not horror, not fear, but in anger from the entire process. Which, by the way, in some perverse way, serves the leftist idea. Because if people just throw up their hands and stomp away, most of the people throwing up their hands and stomping away are people that don't support the left in the first place. That's the scorched earth I'm discussing. You following along in this? You see how this works? Normally, the political process isn't so damaging to the actual United States of America and the voters therein. Normally, it's not this damaging. But these people realize that they've gotten themselves so in over their heads by perverting American law, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. The only thing they can do is they can just double down and stick with it and then what? Try to repair the damage later? Or go ahead and continue to exploit the damage and turn the United States into the leftist political utopia that they feel like they want to bring about in the first place. This country has a government that cannot accomplish anything. And the people of the left want this particular government to have more power, not less. Everybody talks about, my God, this is for the soul of the republic. No, it's not. What this is about whether or not the American people are angry enough to fire all these jerks. I don't know. I sure hope so. Because I report on this every day, or most days. I wasn't able to report last week, but there you go. I report on this most days. And what I'm seeing is awful, counterproductive, scorched earth, damaging, chaotic. And the people of the United States are the only people that can solve it. Because clearly the political effort's out of control and absolutely without any kind of redeeming virtue, along with the DOJ, the FBI, and many of the executive branch agencies. But it's gotten so bad that the people of the United States, well, we're just going to take control of the circumstance and vote these people out of office. At least that's what the left believes. This, according to Politico this morning, a pervasive sense of fear has settled in at the highest levels of Democrat Party leadership over President Joe Biden's reelection prospects, even among office holders and strategists who had previously expressed confidence about the coming battle with Donald Trump. All year, Democrats have been on a joyless and exhausting grind through the 2024 election. But now, nearly 5 months from that election, anxiety has morphed into palpable trepidation. This, according to more than a dozen party leaders and operatives, the gap between what Democrats will say on TV and in print and what they text their friends has only grown wider as worries surged about Biden's prospects. Earlier this broadcast, I was talking about hypocrisy. All these people saying, President Biden is the best leader we've ever had in our lives. Then they go text, this idiot is going to get us absolutely hammered in the 2020 election. Oh, that's off the record. You don't want to be the guy who's on the record saying we're doomed or the campaign's bad or Biden's making mistakes. No one wants to be that guy, said a Democrat operative in close touch with the White House and granted anonymity to speak freely by Politico. But Biden's stubbornly poor polling and the stakes of the election are, quote, creating the freakout, this guy said. This isn't, oh my God, Mitt Romney might become president. It's, oh my God, the democracy might end. And that is irresponsible. That is yelling fire in a church. That's exactly what that is. The democracy, first of all, it's a republic, not a democracy, is not going to end. The people that you talk about that are saying these things, oh my God, democracy might end. If it's going to end, it's going to be the people complaining about that the democracy might end, not the people that are actually voting against their policies. See, they happen to believe that the democracy that might end is the democracy that's kept them in power all this time, when true democracy is about to hammer them and send them home. It's not democracy. It's their political machine is about to come to grips with reality, and they believe they're going to lose, which is good. Despite everything, according to Politico, Trump is running ahead of Biden in most battleground states. He's raised more money in April. The landscape may only become worse for Democrats, with the Trump hush money trial concluding and another, this one involving the president's son, set to begin in Delaware. The concern is metastasized in recent days as Trump jaunted to some of the country's most liberal territories, including New Jersey and New York, to woo Hispanic and black voters. He boasted improbably he would win in those areas. Be careful, Politico. That may be something else you have to retract. While he's long lagged behind Biden in cash on hand, Trump's fundraising outpaced the president's by $25 million last month, including a record-setting $50.5 million haul from an event, a single event in Palm Beach, Florida. One advisor to the Democrat Party donors provided a running list has been shared with funders of nearly 24 reasons as why Biden could lose, ranging from immigration to high inflation to the president's age, the unpopularity of Vice President Kamala Harris, the presence of third-party candidates like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So much for the media saying, RFK is going to hurt Trump more than Biden. No, they won't. No, RFK will not hurt Trump more than Biden because RFK is going to appeal to real Democrats. There are real Democrats. They're not leftist progressive snots like Clinton, the Squad, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, all those people. No, there are real Democrats out there like Joe Manchin, like Tulsi Gabbard. And suddenly RFK Jr., as flawed a candidate as he is, gives them an opportunity to turn away from the illiberal leftist faction that currently leads the Democrat Party, the supposed Democrat Party, around by the nose. This is obvious. And the party is beginning to realize they've got a major problem. But they're sticking to their guns publicly, but they're freaking out privately. Donors ask me on an hourly basis about what I think, the advisor said, calling it so much easier to show them, so while they read it, I can pour you a drink. The advisor said, the list of why we could win is so small, I don't even need to keep a list on my phone. On the day after the news broke that Biden had trailed Trump in fundraising last month, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey raised the pressure on donors as she introduced the president to a crowd of 300. The cluster of fundraising events, the cluster, bad choice of words, or maybe an apt choice of words. The cluster of fundraising events Biden attended in Boston that day were expected to bring in more than $6 million for his political operations. Healey said that wasn't good enough. To those of you who opened up your wallets, thank you. We'd like you to open up a little bit more and find more patriots believe in this country, who recognize and understand the challenge presented at this time. Laughter rippled through the room, but Healey's voice turned serious. With the unusual urgency for Healey, the governor implored the room of high-dollar donors and local Democrat leaders to think long and hard about the stakes of the election. There have been few moments in Biden's term as president that have not been second-guessed. His aides have made sport of sneering at grim predictions, compiling dossiers of headlines and clips in which the president was underestimated. Biden campaign aides and allies point to positive polls, including in the battleground states, and Trump's comparative lack of campaigning and infrastructure in those key states, including staff, organizing programs, and advertising. You don't need those things if you've got the people. And these people don't even think about it. Leftist Democrats that are destroying the Democrat Party don't even think about the fact that the actual decision falls in the hands of the people of the United States. Does Trump need to do all of those things? Typically, yes. In a typical campaign, yes. But remember, these people are saying that. Those are the same people that kept President Biden in his basement in Delaware so that he didn't screw up the campaign to get him elected to the presidency in 2020. Well, President Trump hasn't been out in all the places where he needs to be. In fact, he's going up to places he doesn't have a chance to win. Yeah, okay. This from the people that kept their candidate under wraps in 2020. This is the hypocrisy that needs to be punished in 2024. I'm not asking, if you're a Democrat, I'm not asking you to vote for a Republican. If you're a Republican, I'm certainly not asking you to vote for a Democrat. I'm just asking you to vote for somebody different. Every single politician, with the exception of a couple, have no business in Washington, D.C. Indeed, those people that I truly revere and care about and want to have a successful political life, if they get fired, that's okay. If they get fired, they'll get reelected farther down the road. They may just have to take a couple of years off. This is the mess. Democrats are freaking out about the mess they've created, and they should. They should. It is awful that we face an election like this, that we have in our midst a political party willing to damage the people of the United States for their politics. And the depth of the damage they're interested in foisting on us speaks for itself. It's awful. There's no excuse for it. Donald Trump represents the end of the leftist delirium. And those people that are suffering from it are beginning to realize it. The people of the United States will speak. They will indeed tell all of these people what they believe. It's called an election. And what these people have done is they have worked to ignore and indeed insult and castigate over half of the real American electorate. These people have annoyed, angered, all right, whizzed off 74 million people. 74 million people. And that reckoning is coming. And they're feeling it. And they should. They should be wetting their pants, as they seem to be doing right now.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. If you find value in this broadcast, please share it with your friends. Subscribe to it. Ask them to subscribe. Give us thumbs ups. Like the notification button so you know when we're on the air. I was off last week because I was starting a brand new job. I have started that brand new job, so I will be back on this broadcast, moving forward with it as we have for some 23 years. By the way, we may be changing the times of the broadcast. I think what we're doing is we're changing the times of the broadcast to 11 until 1 p.m. Central Time. 11 until 1 p.m. Central Time. That would be noon until 2 in the East Coast. So I'll have more about that. That'll be coming up on social media probably later today because I got a lot of work to get done, and we're going to do it. So there you go. More information on that coming up. Bill Walton has died. He was an all-time great at basketball. He won championships in high school, college, and the NBA. He was 71 years old. Bill Walton was truly one of a kind, according to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. He said in a statement, as a cherished member of the NBA family for 50 years, Bill Walton will be deeply missed by all those who came to know and love him. An American original, Walton led a remarkable life on and off the court, excelling in basketball and dabbling in the counterculture scene of the 60s and 70s. He remained connected to both throughout his life as basketball player, TV analyst, lifelong fan of the Grateful Dead, Bob Dylan and Neil Young. 6'11", he was one of the most skilled big men to ever play the game. He defended, rebounded, blocked shots, passed, and scored. He averaged 13.3 points, 10.5 rebounds, 3.4 assists, and 2.2 blocks in 10 seasons. Was robbed of his prime years by foot injuries. He packed an impressive resume into the years he played despite debilitating injuries, following a standout career at UCLA, where he won 2 NCAA titles under John Wooden. One of the great influences in his life, Walton became the number 1 pick of the Portland Trail Blazers and the 74 draft. After his playing days were done, what he ended up doing was becoming a basketball analyst, and he was brilliant at it in a very funny and strange way. Speaking of funny and strange ways, here is a look at some of those funny and strange things that he said. And all you can do in my particular case is feel for the play-by-play guy sitting to his immediate left, as Bill Walton was, well, Bill Walton.
Take a bite out of it while it's lit.
While it's lit?
Say, oh, I'm kidding.
This is an excellent shirt, by the way. I've got one of those.
This is your shirt.
That's my shirt.
It is.
Whack! Whack!
People doubted whether you actually drove to Temecula.
No,
to
I
get
went
dirt.
to Temecula and brought you some dirt.
Oh,
You
don't.
do it like this. You get it. You sort of rub it on. Get it, and then you just sort of, okay, now I'm ready to go. It's National Popcorn Day, please. Party on. It's a wonderful day. It's Oregon. The sun was out. Come on.
I think with Brooks on the floor, his goggles came off.
He's getting up quicker than Nate Robinson did. Maybe I'll just strip down right here.
Bill is
Oh,
taking
there
his
you
shirt
go.
off.
Oh,
He isn't
yeah.
wearing deodorant. Taking his shirt off.
It's Monofuku's Andu's birthday.
Say that again.
Monofuku Andu. He's the inventor of the instant noodle. And thank you. I love my noodles. It doesn't get any better than this. I just got laid. Oh, I love my chocolate. Yeah, I'm not a very good catcher. I'm much better at getting high than getting low. There it goes. There it goes. Deep to left. There it goes. And gone. It's gone. Oh, my gosh.
7-point lead right now.
Dusted off.
Have you kissed your ostrich today? That's what I want to know.
I brought you a special gift here. Now, this is not from the park. You can't do that. I brought this from my hotel room.
That's a
this
cactus.
Can be eaten. This can be burnt as
Yeah.
fuel. This can be used as decoration in your house. Birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday.
He ate another cupcake.
Got a present for you here.
Oh, no.
These are very special and sacred plants.
This is another gift.
This is a
Sage.
gift. It's like that right here.
South Bend, Bill Walton has finally met his match, the Leprechaun.
I have found that mushrooms only help you. Anyway, this is a foam roller with a vibrator inside, so it's fantastic. And it's got multi-speeds on
This
it.
is called a glockenspiel, okay? Made famous German name. You broke it. No, I didn't break it. It comes apart like that.
May I bless you. May I bless you with the sacred blue corn.
Should I go for it, Rue?
It won't hurt you. But it is bitter.
Never in a
I
billion
love
years.
big leaf maples. I do too. Oh.
Bill Walton, who embraced all that he was. He was famously almost dismissed from UCLA. He showed up on campus and had a conversation with John Wooden, perhaps the greatest college basketball coach in history. And he told Coach Wooden that he didn't want to cut his hair. And the coach looked at him and said, "We're going to miss you, Bill." I think the most poignant thing about all of this was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, never a teammate of Bill Walton, was talking about Bill. And he said, Bill Walton was the very best of us. Big words from another of the greatest basketball players of all time, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, about his friend, Bill Walton. This has been the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells, and like I said, the timing of this broadcast may change. As a matter of fact, it will change because it has to. I'll explain why some other time. But all I can tell you is God bless you for watching this broadcast and sticking with us, even though I wasn't on the air last week. As I started a new job, I tried to communicate with you, but I don't think I did a great job of that. But I can tell you that, once again, we do a great job of communicating what happens on the Wells Report. That's the news. And we'll do it again tomorrow. God bless you and yours, and I'll see you then. And so there you go. Wow. Yeah, okay. Couldn't speak English in the first part of that broadcast, but there you go. Let's see. What do we got? Ginny Bayless. It's on now. Let's see what happens. He's so out of control. Makes me mad. Yeah. Let's see. Robert De Niro speaks outside the Trump Tower and got booed, from what I understand. Can't believe what's going on, but Trump gets more votes. Jesse says hi. Thank you very much, Ms. Jess. I appreciate that greatly. Vote for Biden. What a joke. Don't forget he did nothing for the border, etc. No. Color me surprised. The supplies aren't getting to the refugees. Talking about all the supplies essentially drowning the Gaza Strip. And none of it's getting in the hands. Well, because there's money to be made. Hamas has money to make with all those supplies. Hamas doesn't care about its citizens. The supplies are just used as a carrot on a stick to keep the masses under control. Control the food. Control the people. A lesson for all of us, says Yvonne. Sarai, I find your profile very interesting. How are you today, Sarai? I'm doing just fine and completely and totally happily married. But thank you very much for seeing the profile. Let's see if the PACs spend a fraction on what they spend on obnoxious amounts of mailers. They might actually have the money to solve problems instead of talking about them. That's Jesse. Of course, Trump is going to be going to the places they don't think he'd win. How else can he convince them that he cares about their issues? 11 to 2, 3 hours, or did I hear that wrong? Yeah, it'll be 11 to 1. You did hear that wrong. Great show, JD. Let's see. Hypodermid. Sorry for bothering you. I want to offer you a promotion of your channel, viewers, followers, views, chatbots, etc. The price is lower than any other competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be best, flexible, and convenient order management panel, chat panel. Everything's in your hands. Huge number of custom settings. Go to Streamrise. Okay. Have a great day, everybody. Yeah. Thanks very much, Hypodermid. All right. Yvonne says, have a great day. Thank you, Dirk. Thank you, Jube. I do that every day. Love all y'all. Take good care. And thanks very much for being a part of this broadcast. Once again, it'll be on tomorrow, but the times may change. I will discuss more of that when I can, and I'll do that on social media. Be watching X and Facebook, because I still haven't figured out how to send you a message on either Twitch, YouTube, or Rumble, or Patreon for that matter. I can't figure out how to talk to you on that, but hopefully I'll be able to do that. So actually, I think I can on Patreon, but it doesn't really affect Patreon because the people that are watching on Patreon, I can't broadcast live on Patreon. So the people that watch there are watching a recording. So that's how that works. But anyway, like I said, time change in the offing. Be ready for that. And I'll be ready to see you again tomorrow for another edition of the Wells Report. Take good care.